Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got it!
We're here to feed Rocks News. This is Rocks Field Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Lashard Binkley. You can always find me at Twitter at Binkley Hoops. Find out my written work over Rockets on that side, and I am on Fox 26 Houston with Nate Griffin a couple of times a week. You can always find me there talking Rockets. We are presented by Believe Network and sponsored by FanDuel Sports. And of course, speaking of FanDuel, now that we look at the odds after the Rockets 117 to 116 win over Golden State Warriors, the Rockets are now under 200, plus 200 to finish in the fourth seed, and their odds of finishing the fifth seed actually went down. It's down to 165, which pretty much means that still not a great bet to bet on the Rockets finishing in that fifth seed as far as if you want to make money. But it's still a really pretty good bet if you want to make money for them to finish in that fourth seed, which is looking better and better. And that leads us right into what I want to give my quick thoughts on yesterday when I was a Rockets, like I said earlier, 117 to 116 win over the Golden State Warriors, a team that's been their kryptonite for the past decade, especially with Steph Curry being back in the lineup for the first time in 27 games. It's always amazing that somehow he found a way to come back against the Rockets of all teams after missing 2 months of the season. But you can definitely tell it was a different game with him back in, and Golden State seemed to play at a different level. They also just used to beating the Rockets. And for the Rockets to come away with that huge victory, it definitely says a lot to where they are right now compared to where they were a couple of weeks ago when they lost those 2 games on the road to the Lakers and had that devastating loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kind of give a quick, brief summary of what happened in this game. It was a back and forth kind of contest all night long. The Warriors got out to a nice lead in the first quarter. Then the Rockets were able to chip away, and then they were able to get off to a nice lead, especially with that big third quarter they had. And then Golden State came back in that fourth quarter when Steph Curry came back in the game after the Rockets led by double digits again. Stop me if you heard this before. The Rockets led by double digits again and relinquished the lead late in the fourth quarter with some, unfortunately, untimely mistakes turning the ball over. Difference is this time, Rockets were able to come back down the court after going down by 1 point, run a really good play where they had everybody else flashing to the baskets. Then they flashed to the corner, which opened up the lane for Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun to run a 2-man game. And the defense wasn't sure who to guard. And that's why that 2-man game with Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun is always the Rockets' best offense, because usually, of course, Sengun is setting that pick, which means that Sengun's rolling to the basket. And majority of the time, like if it's Amen Thompson, they can kind of back off of him and make him shoot that jumper. But under no circumstances, when you're only up by 1 point, are you going to let Kevin Durant go one-on-one from the mid-range and not at least show some type of hedge defense from the guy that's having a pick set on him. So that kind of frees up Alperen Sengun to get to the basket. They try to rotate, but the Golden State Warriors don't have a lot of height in that front court. They were playing Draymond Green at center because Alperen Sengun pretty much just dominated Porzingis just like he did in Eurobasket earlier in the summer and fouled him out early in the fourth quarter. So they had to play Draymond at the center position, which means they didn't have any other height behind him, which made it a lot easier for Sengun to get that game-winning basket at the end. He even could have went to Reed Shepherd if they were actually able to double team him before he got to the basket, because Shepherd was wide open. But it was the right play by Alpe, the right pass by Kevin Durant. And for the first time in a long time, the Rockets were able to come away with a big clutch win on the road. Like I said, against the Golden State team, they have struggled with I can't remember the last time the Rockets didn't struggle against the Golden State Warriors. They've always struggled against the Golden State Warriors since Steph Curry and Draymond Green, but specifically Steph Curry has been there. So even though Steph Curry didn't start the game, he still finished with 29 points in only like 26 minutes. But really the stars of the game was the 2 guys that's going to be the reason why the Rockets win or lose in the playoffs, and it's Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun. If they continue to play, if they play, especially in these last 6 games, the 6-game winning streak, the Rockets have a really good chance, especially now with the Lakers. Seem like they're going to really struggle to end this season and into the playoffs without Austin Reed, without Luka Doncic. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks last night, a team that lost 14 straight games at home. They lost to the Mavericks last night. So Rockets now only 1 game out in the loss column. But, of course, they can't finish tied with them because they lost that all-important tiebreaker. So they have to be 2 games make up 2 games now before the end of the season, which is a good possibility because the Lakers have a tough schedule to finish the year. They only have one, what you would call a guarantee, almost guaranteed win against Utah at the end of the season. Other than that, other 3 games, they definitely have a chance to lose those games. So Rockets have a chance to get home court advantage because you have to imagine Denver right now is tied with them, even though the Lakers have a tiebreaker over them. But you have to imagine Denver's probably going to pass them. So it's going to come down to that 4 or 5 spot with the Lakers and the Rockets. But kind of getting back to this game, again, a great pass by Kevin Durant. Nothing flashy. Doesn't always have to be flashy. Just have to be the simple, right, correct call. And kind of going into the assist thing is something the Rockets have been doing great lately. And I know a lot of people have criticized, I've criticized at time Ime Udoka's play calling, but it has now 6 straight games where the Rockets have had 30 plus assists, something they haven't done since 1986. Just think about that. The players the Rockets have had since 1986. You're going all the way back to Akeem Olajuwon's first few years in the season. You're going back to Trace McGrady and Yao Ming teams never did this. Prime James Harden, none of the James Harden teams ever did this. Even with Chris Paul on the team, they've never had 6 straight games of 30 plus assists. This is the second most in franchise history. They're getting closer and closer to that the most they've ever had in franchise history, which was 7 straight. They can do that with their next game against the Phoenix Suns. So the Rockets are doing stuff they haven't done in, if my math is correct, 40 years now. That's pretty amazing for a team that all year long, all we heard about was that they didn't have a point guard, that they were going to struggle. And don't get me wrong, they have struggled at times without Fred VanVleet turning the ball over, not coming up clutch late in games. But they are doing something that no team has done since 1986. So it's definitely something you have to continue to talk about because the Rockets have had a lot of negative things happen to them this season. So you definitely want to talk about the positive. So that's 6 straight games with 30 plus assists, something they haven't done in 40 years. And also, another really good stat going to the playoffs that shows that the Rockets may actually be turning the corner is now they have 5 straight games where they've shot 40+% from 3-point range. For a team that has struggled shooting as much as the Houston Rockets have all season long, the fact that they've had 5 straight games, I know it's a small sample size, but if we're talking about the Houston Rockets here, who have been bottom 5 in 3-point shooting for the majority of the season, for them to have 5 straight games shooting 40+% from 3-point range, is pretty amazing. 4 out of 5 games, they made 15 plus threes. They made 13 threes tonight, 13 to 29 from the field, 3-point range. So that's also another really encouraging sign. Actually, in the last 10 games, they're 8-2. They're shooting 50+% from the field, 40% plus from 3-point range, and they're shooting 78% from the free throw line, another area they have struggled throughout the entire season. So it's definitely good to see the Rockets are picking it up on offense at the right time. They're playing probably their best basketball overall since probably November, and probably even better than that because even though the Rockets were, shooting pretty well from the, from 3-point line, from the field, it was still kind of fool's gold because of the way the schedule was set out at the time that they had all these 8 days days off between games. So I really think the Rockets right now are playing probably their best basketball the entire season at the best possible time going into the playoffs. So that's definitely some encouraging signs. Kind of looking at some of the guys that stood out in this game. Got to give it to Jabari Smith. Without Jabari Smith, you don't win this game because at times he was the Rockets' offense, especially when Kevin Durant or Alperen Sengun was on the bench. I mean, Jabari Smith finished with as a plus 15, which was first on the team. He had 23 points, 9 to 12 from the field. Pretty much did a little bit of everything. 9 rebounds, got into it with Draymond Green, which is always something you like to see, especially when the Rockets actually win the game. And you have to also give him up on that last play. He was going up against Curry. They switched to get Amon Thompson off of him, and Jabari Smith didn't foul, didn't get in his landing space, put a hand in his face, made the shot extremely difficult, even though we've seen Steph Curry make those shots all his entire career. But Jabari Smith was able to step up, play a really good game, have a really good defensive effort on that last play. Got to give it up to Jabari Smith. Got to give it up to Amon Thompson, who again just continues to have the best season of his young career. He had another 18 points, and even though Steph Curry had 29 points on 11-21%, 11 or 21 from the field. It's Steph Curry. He does that against everybody. So you don't hold that against anybody. When Steph Curry, I don't care if he's been out for 3 years, he's still going to be able to shoot. So Almond Thompson, again, another really good game for him. And also, let's one other thing I want to talk about real quick before I wrapped up this quick segment of, I just want to kind of get my quick reaction of the game, was Kevin Durant's defense. Kevin Durant continues to have, I mean, I haven't watched every single game of his career before he got with the Rockets, but I have to imagine this is probably some of the best defense he's played in the last 5 years, especially since he came back from that major injury that he had with the Brooklyn Nets. It's some of the best basketball that, like I said, that he's played, defensive basketball that he's played his entire career. You always expect him to be really good on offense. He's the most efficient basketball player in the NBA, him and probably Steph Curry. So you always expect that with him when it comes to that. But he had another 3 blocks last night. And it's not just the blocks he's also doing as far as when teams are trying to, early in the year, teams are really trying to switch and get him in one-on-one opportunities just because they figure, well, he's getting closer to 40 years old. He's not going to be able to play the same level of defense. But he has been solid on defense the entire year. Teams have not been able to take advantage of him. He's had multiple games where he had multiple block shots. He had a really great block against Steph Curry, who tried to take him off the dribble. He's been really good all year on defense. I mean, he should be on the all defense, one of the all 3 all defensive teams at the end of the season, of course, along with being on the all NBA team. That should go without even saying at this point. So definitely want to highlight Kevin Durant because a lot of times it's not talked about. Most of the time it's offense, but his defense has been great this entire season. It's something that definitely needs to be talked about a lot more. Now the Rockets are, like I said, only 1 game in a loss column behind the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers look like they're going to struggle to end this season because they're not going to have 2 of their top 3 players to end the regular season. They're going to depend a lot on LeBron. It's a possibility that the Lakers may even sit LeBron now, trying to rest him for the playoffs. So the Rockets have a really good opportunity to have home court. Ideal matchup would be a home court advantage against the Lakers, a team that more than likely Luka, even though I know he went overseas trying to see if he can get better treatment, but I can't imagine he's going to at least miss the first few games of the first round. Even if he comes back, he's going to be hobbling around because there's no way you come back from a hamstring injury that fast and not have it affect your game. So best case scenario is for the Rockets to, finish in that 4th seed, play the Lakers in the first round, have home court advantage. And for them to be able to do that, they got to keep winning because, like I said, they can't just tie the Lakers. They have to be 1 game better than the Lakers. And that continues in the next game against the Phoenix Suns. Jalen Green's first game against the Houston Rockets. So, it's going to be a really loud, hype atmosphere for that game. Of course, with Kevin Durant again coming back to Phoenix. It's going to be a big game again on Tuesday. It's a really late game, at least for people here in the United States. I know people in Turkey are saying, it's not a late game for us. We have late games all season long, but it's going to be a 10 o'clock start. It's going to be another big matchup as the Rockets play their last a road game of the regular season on Tuesday against the Phoenix Suns. Then they'll be back home playing Philadelphia on Thursday and Minnesota on Friday. I'll be out at that Minnesota game. So as usual, I appreciate all the support. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Everybody, please like it. It helps out with the algorithm. And as usual, I appreciate all the support. Make sure you check out the next episode of Rocket Fuel Podcast.